Welcome to another section of our class of this course, social work. This is module 7, and in this module, we'll be treating the theories to social work. That is, we're looking at different theories of social work. That is the different perspective and philosophical perspective in which we can look at social work from. So now, the content of the module, we have one to be the theories in social work. We have, and under this theory, we have role theory, an overview of role theory. We also have problem solving theory. We have gesture theory. We have systems theory, and then communications theory. So we'll be looking at all these theories in this module. And then after that, we'll move on to the role of information in an organization. Then also look at importance of communication in effective functioning. I believe those are under communication theory. And why social work practitioners need communication skills. These are the subtopics that we'll be looking at under this topic in this module. And for this module, we have the introductory part to be that the experts and scholars in social works, that is the professionals and different scholars in social work, they have been able to create numerous theories and methods to establish discipline as a recognized professional field. So, and every theory that they created, it brings its own particular value to the social work practice. So, be it communication theory, system theory, and the likes, they all have their perspective and value that they add to the social work practice. Let's take role theory, for instance. It is grounded in the idea that human behavior tends to follow predictable patterns. It revolves around that human behavior follow a predictable pattern, that we can easily predict what humans will do or can do or will do. So and that how a person acts depends heavily on the specific social context, their position in society, and various other influences. I believe this theory, this whole theory, has to do with the role of individuals influencing the kind of action that they put on, and the person acts, how they act is sorry about that. So how individuals act, it all revolves around the social context and the role of this individual in the society. So their position in society are considered, and various other influences. So each role consists of a collection of rights, obligations, expectations, social norms, and behavior that individuals are required to recognize and perform. On the other hand, the problem-solving approach in social work, that is the problem-solving theory, it involves two main aspects, that is gathering and structuring relevant data, and the second one is making decisions based on the collected information. So this is just like an introductory part to introduce ourselves to the main content for this module or this topic. So let's take it one after the other as we have stated in the content in the module content. We have the theories in social work to be the first subtopic that we're looking at, and under that we have that theories in social work is defined as the structured frameworks and conceptual models that explain human behavior, social problems, relationship, and change processes. So this is just like a structured idea or frameworks and concepts that try to give a vivid or a detailed explanation of human behavior. Not only human behavior, but the social problems that they are facing, not only, and relationship and change processes, what could happen, what causes this and that in human behavior. So these theories, they guide social workers in assessment, intervention, and practice, helping professionals understand clients in their person in environment context. So social work draws from psychology, as we all know that social work is not just any profession. It has to do with it is attached to psychology, sociology, systems thinking, and other disciplines. So theories involved with research and societal changes remaining relevant in 2026 with emphasis on trauma-informed care, equity, digital integration, and holistic approaches. So we'll be moving on to the most widely used and influential theories. That is, these theories are based on current sources and established knowledge. We'll be moving on. We'll be taking it one after the other, where we have the likes of role theory. So role theory has a perspective in sociology, in social psychology. Role theory consider that most of everyday activities stem or everyday activities doing from socially defined categories, that is mother, which could be mother, manager, teacher, and the likes. So each role is a set of rights, duties, expectations, norms, and behaviors that a person has to face and fulfill. So this role theory is based on the observation that people behave in a predictable way, and an individual's behavior is context specific. So based on special social position and other factors, the theater as a metaphor the theater as a metaphor is often used to describe role theory. The word's role has existed in European languages for centuries. However, as a sociological concept, the term has only been around since the 1920s and 1930s. So that is the role theory term. It became more prominent in sociological discourse through the theoretical frameworks of George Abermid and Jacob L. Merino and the likes. So let's move on to the next theory, which is problem-solving theory. In which it is important to note that individuals, they adopt different approaches and methods when they are about to make decisions. The way we think is quite different, although it is predictable. But different approach methods is adopted. So, and these variations are closely tied to their personality traits. For example, let's take for example now, some people are highly organized, meticulous, detail focused, and prefer a well planned approach. Others, on the other hand, they tend to be impulsive. And immediately pursue the most obvious solution without much deliberation. That is, we have some people that are deep thinker, while we have some set of people that they just jump on whatever solution they find. So the problem solving style consists of two main dimensions. One is collecting and organizing data, and two is making decisions based on the collected data and information. So let's move on to the next theory now, which is the Gestalt theory. The Gestalt theory, according to this theory, Gestalt psychologists they strongly opposed both behaviorism and functionalism. The key figures were Marx, Wedemer, 1880 to 1943, Wolfgang Kohler, and Kurt Kofacker. They are all German psychologists. The central principles of Gestalt theory is that the whole is different from the sum of its parts. The word Gestalt is German and means whole, form, figure, or configuration. So we have the contribution of Gestalt psychology to education. They have been able to contribute immensely to education. So we have that they made significant contributions to the field of education, in which includes the following contributions. One, we have that they emphasize the perception of relationships, organization, and wholeness in learning, stating that the whole determines the behavior of its parts. That is, the whole, everything determines the behavior of part of the whole. So this means that teachers should present the subject matter to students as an integrated whole. So number two is that another contribution that they made in education was that goals and purposes are important in learning because they motivate and activate learners. And the third one is that teaching should begin from learners' current level of perception, not from the teacher's own perception. So they believe that is the proper way that the students can gain and understand the subject or the topic or the subject matter that is being discussed in class. Learning should begin from the current level of the students, of the learners, not from the level of the teachers. So now let's move on to the next subtopic, which is the system theory. So the system theory approach to management regards organization as system that operates in relation to their environment. A system can be defined as a group of interrelated parts that function as a whole to achieve a common purpose. So main characteristics of the system theory, we have one, every system consists of many subsystems that continuously interact with one another. And the second one is that every system is part of a larger system. For example, an organization is a system in itself, but is also part of a larger industrial system, which in turn is part of a broader social system. So everything is linked to each other. So let's move on to the next subtopic, which is communication theory. Communication involves the transmitting of information and creating mutual understanding between individuals, whether at the same hierarchical level or across different levels. So communication serves as the primary process, the basic process through which management connects with each other to carry out its responsibilities. Because managers accomplish their goals through the efforts of other people, every managerial function depends heavily on effective communication. That is to tell us that if before we can successfully manage an organization, a company, or a community, communication is very vital, because every successful or every successful managerial function, it all depends heavily on effective communication, not just communicating alone, but communicating effectively. And communication, it acts as the essential channel or bottleneck of all management activities. It is a two-way process. That is, communication is a two-way process, and we have one person may start it, but it is only complete when the message is received. That this is to tell us that communication is incomplete if the receiver is not there. So to receive, not only receive, understood and responded to by others. So the overall success and efficiency of management depend significantly on how well communication functions. So now let's move on to the role of information in an organization. What is the purpose of information in every organization as there? So in order to prevent misinformation and rumors spread through informal channels, organizations make deliberate effort to keep all employees well informed about the necessary information and key facts, and also the development. So the content of organizational information usually combines facts, opinions, attitudes, and interpretations. So broadly speaking, professional communication within an organization can be categorized into 5 main types of information. We have one to be statutory information. The second one is regular work situation information, and the third one is major policy or operational change information. Then we have information bulletin, then communication by expectancy. These are the 5 main types of information that is categorized. So let's move on to the importance of communication in effective functioning now. The level at which communication is very important cannot be studied, in the sense that strong communication skills, they are seen as a fundamental requirement for successful management, just like we've been mentioning initially. So just like we've been mentioning initially, managing is a multifaceted process that its core, it involves organizing capital, labor, and materials to produce and distribute goods or services. So firstly, management defines its object, what needs to be achieved, and develops policy on how to accomplish them. And then a system of communication is required to guide, coordinate, and control the production and distribution processes. This is to tell us that communication is very important and essential to run a successful business. So because the production and distribution of goods and services they all rely on effective communications. So now sorry about that. And distribution processes. So in order to ensure smooth operations, proper direction, and the collection of valuable feedback. So management functions they function as unified, organized, and collaborative efforts that is directed toward shared goals. The feeling of unity, common purpose, and commitment to organizational objectives can only be cultivated through persuasive, and inspiring communication. So let's move on to the next subtopic, which is why social work practitioners need communication skills. So this is just to discuss. I mentioned why it is very communication is very essential to social work professionals. Why do they need communication? Why do they need to be audible and communicate effectively to the clients? So it's and we have is that the success of any organization, it largely depends on creating an environment where information flows freely upward, downward, and horizontally across all levels. But it's where information is not being deprived, information is circulated enough. So now, at work, the primary focus is often on task completion. So instructions, guidelines, supervision, monitoring, and reporting are considered sufficient. So as outlined by Henry, managers rely on strong communication skills to fulfill three interrelated categories of roles, where we have one to be interpersonal relationship, we have informational relation, and decisional relation. These are the three reasons why managers rely on strong communication, according to Henry Mintzberg. So in conclusion, the diverse theories that is explored in this module collectively form a robust foundation for contemporary social work practice. Role theory eliminates how predictable context-specific behaviors arise from social position and expectations. While the problem-solving approach or theory, it offers a structured, personality-informed method for gathering data, evaluating the data through sensation and thinking, and the likes. So Gestalt theory, on the other hand, with its emphasis on wholeness, that is, the whole is different from the sum of its parts, it promotes holistic insights, meaningful organization of experiences, and powerful learning through awareness rather than rote repetition. So this will be the end for this